How is it possible to ruin the whole impression of someone or something to such an extent? It's just too much to expect. It's all over the place in our lives, not to mention cars. That's what happened with this car too. Everyone in every corner is screaming, "Wow, the Tesla killer!" But I'm not impressed, because it's pretentious. But why should I be? It says right there, in gold and black, BYD HAN, and it all starts to make sense. Like it shoots up in 100 and okay, in case something Chinese fall off. Like, you know, really likes himself. Wow, wow, bump, bump. After you drive it, you realize there's something else written on it too. Everybody's screwed. Absolutely everyone. Because I don't understand how the Chinese made it in this price range again. I really want to lift it up and see it already what it's made of, because I don't believe that they made it themselves. You're probably thinking I'm talking about the same 3.9 seconds to 60 that it says here. No, you're wrong. What's much more impressive is the driving it does. Basically, for the price of 4-6 million rubles in Russia, which means that in China the price is about 3 million rubles, you can expect that it's just a wagon with a hell of a powerful electric warhead. Like it will go up to 100 and it's fine. But no, no and no. Not only that they ask Han to decorate everything inside, it's look like they sold their soul to the devil for a tune-up. First impression when you start up and drive on a normal road. It's quiet. It's so bloody quiet. Everything we've got is the fan. And if you turn it off, the silence becomes deafening. And it's really important in an electric car, where things are quiet as it is. It's quiet by the square. Any premium like the C-Class is much noisier, and you're, you know, comfortable for a while. But sooner or later, the driver presses the gas, and all those noises come to you. There's no such thing here. It's just a capsule. 130 kilometers. Second impression, and here it will be especially noticeable now. It's comfortable. It's unbelievably comfortable. It doesn't bounce around. It's mature and it's quiet too. It goes quietly over all the bumps. All these bumps that we usually drive over here and usually suffer on. It's incredibly quiet. It's been a long time since I've driven over those bumps and I haven't actually noticed them. Very cool. I mean, the tuning is like the tops. Obviously, it's not an S-Class. Clearly, that is not S-Class. And it's probably not even E-Class. I'm just shocked the way they've tuned it. The suspension. And that's give me one thing to think about. That we should definitely shake it up on our road for lowriders. What if some Chinese part fall off? Let's see how you behave. How strong you are, blowing clouds and sky so far. This is Khan after all. We're going in at 40. No problem at all. 50? The leaves are gone, but I'm going 50. That's all. Resonance has been found. But it's amazingly comfortable. But the resonance has been found at about 50. Above that, it's no longer comfortable. I can feel it. It's not about rebound, it's just starting to get to you. Up to 50, it smoothed everything out, and nothing has fallen off. Let's try again. $55? $60? Can I do 60? 64 and breakdown. Anyway, it's a hell of the suspension. It's just awesome. And most importantly, if that noise starts at about 55, at 60 there's a little bit of a jiggle. But it's still quiet. That's what I'm talking about. The quietness and the comfort. That on the bumps you drive, you practically don't notice them at all. You drive any other car here and it's wow wow bump bump. It's just quiet here. The sound is out there. That's the most important feeling. And you probably all waiting for when the guy's gonna tell you that this car is fast. Well, the time is now. Well, gentlemen, we're about to find out, but we'll find out like this. So we have the device hanging with the hatch open, because it's really a capsule. There is no GPS signal coming through here, not even a little bit. We are in sport mode. There is a switch here. You can do eco, you can do sport. We need all the power, so it's gonna be sport. And let's see what we get. I am, of course, also interested of seeing a device. Hit the gas with the brake and let it go. Come on! Loudly. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Not 3.9. There's got to be some kind of secret button to trigger these warheads. Because we're 83% loaded. We got all the settings on sport. Everything you can turn on. And still it's like this. Let me show you right from here is the view. Ooh, nice. That's a good first jump. And the speedometer is 100. 120, 130, 140. Basically it's fast. Of course it picks up quickly. Brakes on Brembo? Pretty good too. It's very strange. Very strange why don't I have boost? That is the question. It looks like that it's going to go for seconds after all. But in order to do that, we need to find a boost somehow. How do I do that? We started the timer and decided to see what happened. What if Super Sport mode comes on? Only if you turn on this measurement. Isn't that interesting? We've got our metering device and their metering device. Let's compare. Let's do it. Okay. 459. And here's 409. It calls love himself very much. It shows 4.9. Like very close to those numbers that indicated. In fact, it's 459. In short, the video of the Chinese being exposed. Exposing how they measure and put up their nameplates. But it was faster this time. You really have to pick that mode and then... That's the only time it looks like it's going to go anywhere. And we should also take Sunny out. And see if the weight of one person has any effect. Well, it's probably show 309 by his measurements. 16 to 50. Yeah. Last second it shows 4, 4 and 1, 4 and 0. You never have 4.8, 4.9, you know? Everything and always good. Acceleration is successful. That's how it convinces you of that. Are you coming out? Let's try it. We'll see. It's now or never, that they say. That's it. It should be all set by now. Let's do it. Let's go. Oh, we even got a little slippery for the first time. 227, 437. And it's always 403 here. Can it be other way? They don't allow it otherwise in China. You always speed up 403. Look, here's the mode when it's supposed to go. Suppose should be the key word. 1.5. Stability. How stable they are. As they say, that's the way it's going to be. Come on. 227. 449. Well, at least 4.5. But here again it's 401. It's no surprise here. You doing fine, you know? It's like China telling you. Why did you buy a car? To enjoy life. At your service, I always accelerated for a second. In general, we accelerated as much as we could. The most important thing you should know about the dynamics, it's there. 437 is the best, but not 39. But if you turn on your rep, then your stability is amazing. It's the different reality, as they say. It's always like that with the owners. Whichever car you buy, the owners are always very loyal to their car. So you don't get upset for some variations. The car goes, the car doesn't go. It's always 4-401. That's what I'm talking about. But even after all this acceleration, yeah, it does seem to have speed, but it doesn't explode brain with acceleration. It just accelerates. As if they learned from Mercedes, the S-Class. It's so smooth. But it's fast, I have to say. Drivability. And then you're probably thinking, I'd rather buy BMW 3 or 5 for that money. If I can find the money after all. It's about status, the nameplate. Finally, you don't have to turn on your blinkers and drive like God. Well, have you ever seen a comfortable Mercedes that drives like BMW? Here it is. Due to the fact that it is an electric car, naturally it has an advantage. It has a low center of gravity. But it's not as ostentatiously steerable. And the whole complaint about the steering is that it's not as sharp, and its whole attitude of comfort. If it has to, it will do that. He'll go fast into a corner, but for the most part, you don't even want to drive like that. You just know it can, but you don't do it that way. The charge lasts for 500 kilometers. Is it real? The hell knows. Today we, for example, only drove 40 kilometers, and it's already done by 100. But the fact that there's a higher level of recuperation, you can see all these indications, and the fact that the mileage can change dynamically, it suggests that the whole system is much higher level than the Xpeng, which we have recently run out of power. And that made it interesting to completely discharge it and then recharge it on the tether. If that's what you want to see, then hit the like button, subscribe, share, repost, and then we absolutely will do it. Did we dig up a Helentwagen for nothing? Actually, I wanted to tell you that this electric car is probably the first one of all the cars I've ever tested that is so user-friendly. You can just give it Wi-Fi. You can install apps. We've got Instagram here, Yandex Navigator, Yandex Music, Yandex Browser. You can watch YouTube, whatever you want to do. Give it Wi-Fi and that's it. No problem with that. Because it's just a tablet. It's practically open. There's been no hassle with it at all. And that's cool. That, coupled with the English language, makes this car as usable as possible right off the bat. But of course, since this is a new car, and is quite a high level of technology, we should definitely talk about what it can do. Because in the previous video, we called such disadvantages compared to its competitors. Not the autopilot here, of course lower level, and basically all the systems. The cameras were mentioned. They were said to be sort of worse, but they are good enough. If you compare it to what's on the market right now, they, let's say, even above average. Because in conventional cars, not in electric cars and not in Chinese. The Chinese, of course, are a long way off. But about autopilot, for example, it's just not there. Here, it's called D-Pilot. But this, if we go back, go into the car, D-Pilot, it's just adaptive cruise control, intelligent cruise control, with lane assist, with all the tinkering type features. That is what, in fact, Kai offers us now, for example. This, in fact, can also be called autopilot. Yes, it doesn't steer much on its own. When it sees all those lines, if the corner is too steep, it kind of steers, tries to stay in the center a little bit, and then it doesn't give a shit. But the cruise works great. A cruise that brakes the car, that accelerates. It's not great though. It's got a flaw. Okay, well, let's turn it on. Because the cruise basically doesn't need any lines. Just one button. We turn it on and choose the speed. It works up to 150 kilometers per hour. There was a speed bump. Probably very reckless to increase the speed at this point. Maximum you can choose 150 kilometers. You choose the distance to the car ahead of you and that's it. You relax. As soon as the markings appear here, he's going to be watching the markings as well. For now, he simply manages his distance and brakes. You can relax and not to pay much attention to it. It seems that way, doesn't it? It seemed to work, like on the Xpeng. Xpeng, by the way, surprised us with that. But if you stop, this car doesn't drive itself. That's probably the biggest disappointment. I thought all Chinese cars had learned how to do it cool, just like, for example, Xpeng. But no. Naturally, you can turn it all off. But it will all turn on the next time you restart the car. In any way, in principle, it's a kind of electric car, not exactly the new wave, where you just go in, hit a brake and go, like a lot of people do now. It's not. Here it's very attached to this button. They didn't make it like that with the ribs for nothing. With a cut of this diamond. Diamond-shaped, but though with a stupid sticker like this. Nevertheless, it was all done for reason. You push it, and it's very annoying that lever there, because there is a claim to it, with automatics, and usually with many joysticks. This happens less often with normal automakers. Here, when you go from D to R, we were shooting now, and we had to go back and forth a lot of times. And that's when you go from D to R. And if there's even a slightest hint of movement, microscopic miles an hour, it stays in gear. It doesn't even go to neutral. It stays in that gear. And when you come to a cliff and reverse, and you have to put it in drive quickly and go, it stays in reverse and goes into the cliff, unfortunately, when you hit it. Okay, at least it does it smoothly, and you have time to react. That's a plus again to tuning of this comfortable and cool sedan. And that's probably all we live with. Today we didn't have the task of discharging it. We were shooting in the surrounded area, as they say. And we still have half of tank left. Although, of course, we only drove 100 kilometers today. And we used up 220. That's 2.5 times as much. But we were doing top speeds, up to 185 kilometers. By the way, it's funny. They promised 200. But no, don't expect 200. And of course, we finally found those seconds. To find the seconds, I must have had to accelerate about 15 times. I mean, that's probably the cycle was so powerful after all. And most significant of all, the most important thing is that it counts all up. It's a lot more convenient than when you just have some mythical mileage. And you think, well, that should be enough for me. And then bang, and you run out of juice right in the middle of it, in the most uncomfortable place, like we did with the Xpeng. Other than that, nothing. BYD has a problem with dull opening parts. Cup holders, the lids. Here's the compartment. It just freezes and that's it. And that's the main disadvantage, I guess. And of course, you have to knock on the rear dump woofer, because this dump woofer doesn't work like subwoofer. That's why I call it dump woofer. And I think that's what it should be called. Something the Chinese didn't seem to connect there. All the speakers look nice, but they don't sound as cool as they should. In general, the conclusion we have, guys, the new Chinese electric cars don't have to be looked aesthetically. They are already complete in all aspects. And that's another real shock. While we are thinking how to cost-effectively attach the Lada nameplate to Renault, the Chinese already going to be all over the Germans, and maybe even the Americans. At least in one aspect they're definitely succeeding, because they cost 1.5 to 2 times less. That's why it's so interesting to keep an eye on them. Well, that's it. Thanks a lot for your attention, and see you all again. Bye.